Welcome to our Restoring America channel, where we will show you a common person's approach to do-it-yourself repairs. We are back working on our 2003 Ford F250 Super Duty. For the skid plate removal, I also need to mention that this is a Super Crew cab with an 8-foot bed. It is also a turbo diesel, and if you have maybe the gasoline version or a shorter bed, the location of the mounts for the skid plates may be in a different location, so just be aware of that. Also, the truck is supported on jack stands, and the front wheels are blocked. The rear driver's side wheel has been removed, and I left my floor jack under the rear differential as an added layer of safety. The truck has been in the northern states for quite some time, and due to the salt they use for snow removal, the truck is very rusty. So you may notice that I use a lot of penetrating oil, and I allow time on the nuts and bolts for the penetrating oil to get through that rust. Also, there is a puddle of brake fluid near my head that started all of this, and fortunately, we were able to get the truck to this location by using the emergency, or in other words, the parking brake. And as you'll see in the video, over my right shoulder, there is a splash guard that will need to be removed, and also in that location there's a support rod connecting the frame to the side panel that will be removed as well to give me some more room to work. I did want to mention also that I will be looking into other ways of lifting and supporting this exact vehicle. In another video I mentioned that I lift the rear of the truck by the differential using a floor jack, and I'm not too happy with that, and I will be looking for other alternatives. Maybe you can give me some ideas. And to make sure also that you do identify um, the location of the straps and the skid plate mounts. Don't get those confused. That way you can apply the penetrating oil if need be to the correct bolts. And I want to show you quickly the location of the strap and the plate mount bolts, and you can see there on the left is the strap, and the mount is on the right for the skid plate. And the strap, of course, goes between the tank and the skid plate, and that's an easy way to tell the difference between the two. Under the bed towards the center, there is one bolt going through the fuel tank strap and one bolt through the skid plate mount. And as you can see, I'm moving the camera so you can see both of those. And the one on the left is the skid plate bolt. Next, we're still underneath the bed, but we're moving towards the differential, and you're going to find two bolts on the skid plate mount and one through the fuel tank strap. Now to the side of the truck, we are going to see one bolt through the fuel tank strap and two through the skid plate mount, and that's actually on the frame towards the outside of the truck. And then also on the frame towards the outside of the truck, under the emergency brake cable, there's two bolts holding that skid plate mount. Also, if you are curious, the location of the fuel tank strap bolt is right there. Although the skid plate isn't all that heavy, I will be using my Daytona jack with the adjustable crossbeam attached, since one of these skid plate mounts may end up hanging on the parking brake cable I mentioned earlier. This will allow me to suspend the skid plate while I move it past the parking brake cable. Before we can drop that skid plate, however, we need to remove the skid plate mounting bolts. Mine are 13mm heads, and I have already soaked them all with PB Blaster. Most of the bolts I showed you are free of obstructions, however these are hidden under the parking brake cable and are located to the outside and rear of the truck on the frame. These bolts here, also on the frame, but towards the front, I have hit those with PB Blaster as well. Using my ratchet, extension, and 13mm socket, I am able to get past the parking brake cable and still have room to work without removing that splash guard and side panel mount like I thought I would. As you can see, every inch of this truck is affected by rust, but I was able to remove all of the bolts without breaking the heads off of them. If you are pressed for time, you may not have the option of letting a penetrating oil like PB Blaster work, but if you have the time, an ounce of prevention is worth foot-pounds of cure. I wanted to give these two skid plate mounting bolts an honorable mention. I had to remove them with one hand as I had the other arm around the drive shaft lifting me off of the ground so I could just simply reach them. Once the skid plate mounting bolts were removed, I was able to push the whole skid plate slightly towards the rear of the vehicle, and that was able to give me just enough room to move the parking brake cable out of the way. Once that was clear, I was able to lower the skid plate using the floor jack with that adjustable crossbeam. Well, I hope you liked my video. Please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.